Hey everybody, Molotov Mitchell here from Triangle Krav Maga. I'm also the head of Atlas Krav Maga. We are here today in Triangle Krav Maga's incredible training facilities. As you can see, this is a movie theater setup. This is one of the many training rooms that we have here, and it's perfect for active shooter scenario training. There's a film from Daily Wire that's come out called Run, Hide, Fight. That's what we're going to be reviewing today, specifically looking for what's realistic, what's beneficial to viewers when it comes to surviving, and what are some other things that could have been done, some other variables as well. Big time spoilers, okay? I don't want to ruin it for you. This is definitely the best and most realistic active shooter film that I've ever seen. So kudos to Daily Wire. Go to dailywire.com, watch the film, then come back. Here we go. Okay, so straight away we see that the dad knows what he's talking about. He's coaching his daughter here on breath control. She takes the deer down, they go up to check on the deer. Sure enough, the deer is not finished. Okay, this is a traumatic thing. This is a very sad thing when this happens. It's something that dad is explaining to her. You can't just let a living thing bleed out and just go through all that agony before he can finish his unfinished business monologue there. Surprise, Zoe just comes up with a rock and just smashes the poor deer's head in. Some people might see this and they might think, oh, that's so badass. That is not badass. This is not healthy. This is not the way that any teenage kid should act. That being said, even pain, even extreme pain, even trauma can actually be a gift. Because of her anger, because of her issues, she's going to be able to go the extra mile. The fact that this is taking place on senior prank day, when everything's unexpected, there's crazy things happening, is not just interesting as a viewer, but it's also tactically accurate with the Dark Knight shooting. It was opening night, the film was just kicking off, and there's actually a big fight scene that's happening on the screen when suddenly a guy comes in dressed kind of like the people in the film and starts shooting. And people thought, some of the survivors thought that it was part of the film, that it was like some sort of 4D, you know, maybe for the kickoff, the premiere, whatever. For people to do something awful like this on senior prank day it's a scary possibility. It's tactically sound. I really love how the film is paced and how it kind of lulls you to sleep a little bit by taking you through their lives and seeing all this minutia. It really strikes a nostalgic chord, which I really appreciated. I went to school in the 90s, and as I was watching this, it just seemed like, you know, nothing changes. And I was just thinking to myself, wow, you know, how different is high school now? Instead of thinking about the fact that this is an active shooter film, and that is precisely what a great writer should do, so that when the awful thing happens, you're feeling surprised just like the characters. That's great writing, great writing. So Zoe sees the smoke. She saw that the kid was out there in the field. He was planting something out there, and she's starting to put two and two together, but she doesn't dare speak it. And that's interesting. We should always be talking whenever we see something that's out of the ordinary. This is just too crazy of an age to just see something really weird happening and just ignore it. So this guy walks in, drops a backpack. If you were to do this at an airport, man, they'd be all over you. But in high school, you don't have that level of security. And that is that's a very troubling theme that we see in this film, and it's something that we definitely need to talk about. Okay, so we're seeing that these fires are taking place in strategic locations. Later on we find out that it's congesting traffic. Again, these are very sharp bad guys, and they're building off of the mistakes perhaps that other active shooters have made in the past. When you see somebody getting something or messing with something up in the ceiling, up in the rafters, that is not normal behavior. It could be she's just getting a joint or something like that. There's no reason to assume that. I wouldn't recommend doing this, reaching around, digging for stuff. Who knows what's going to be up there? I mean, it could be that the girl's going up to get hypodermic needles because she's shooting heroin, who knows? Don't go up and just start feeling around. She should have went and told somebody in authority immediately. That is how people stop tragedies from happening. Okay, when the girl comes into the bathroom, the first thing that Zoe does is she starts calling for help, okay? That's not the right thing to do. Somebody has just been violently harmed there, and you must assume that that threat is still out there. The best thing to do is to carefully look around the corner. See if you can see if there's a threat. If there's not a threat, get out of there and go get some help. I was pretty disappointed with the coach. I thought that the coach just kind of just like, "Roar," and like kind of fell on the guy. Okay, so now that we see the kid going in, the best thing that she can do is climb up there and hit the rafters. Now, if you are heavy, if you are obese, for instance, you cannot do that. So if you're small, climb up there. Otherwise, you should be hiding around that corner. As soon as a guy comes around, that's the ambush right there. That is it. That is your one shot. Don't blow it. You will not get another one. But fit people are hard to kill. It's good to remember that. You can never underestimate fitness. I actually keep track of my arm. All these hash marks on my arm are students who survived deadly encounters and came back to tell me about how the training did it. If you're fit, you stand a very good chance of making it through a lot of damage. Boy, this is an intense scene. Hiding in a place that's locked like that rolling door, it looks like he was able to get in, but they wouldn't have thought to go in there because it was closed, like closed for shop. Nobody's in there. That was a great place to hide. So at this point, they have discovered that there is probably an active shooter situation going on, but they cannot call for a lockdown yet because they haven't verified that it's real. This is probably outrageous and upsetting to a lot of people. I don't think that it's crazy at all. It's very easy to forget about all of the psychological trauma and damage that you can do to kids by making them think that there is an active shooter situation going on, and then it turns out that there wasn't. And how many times is that going to happen on a prank day or something? You know what I mean? You just can't traumatize and destroy kids' psyches like that. So it's a good rule to have in place. A better way to find out would be just to check cameras that are set up throughout the school. That would be way easier than having to send actual bodies down there to check it out. Zoe's getting brave. Good for her. She's decided, I'm not just gonna run and save myself, I'm at least going to try to warn some people that I see over there that are about to walk into death. They're about to walk into harm's way. Heroic. That is a great kid. You should stop people from stumbling to slaughter. The Bible says that, actually. Now, should she continue back into the school? I wouldn't want my daughter to do that. I'm not training her to do that, but she's having this anguish about her mom. She has the training and the grit and determination from her dad that she's just in the right place at the right time, which they say later on. And boy, that's the case sometimes. That's definitely the case. There are many stories where that is precisely what happened. Here we see the principal coming in and lowering himself, prostrating himself before the kid, apologizing for being dismissive of him when he was being called into his office. And he's doing everything right now. That's selfless and wise. That's precisely what a good leader, a good principal should be doing, trying to bring himself down to where a deal could be reached. But unfortunately, it doesn't go that way. Some people are just killers. Okay, the security guy here, he's got nothing to protect him. This is a shame on America that this is the way that we protect our kids. He's got a flashlight, overweight, dumpy peeing himself. He should be. Somebody comes in, boom, they are immediately going right to work. Why aren't they trained? It's a great question. And there's a lot of room for debate there. You sometimes have to smash things. You have to completely shatter, drive your way through the norm. You've got to scream at the top of your lungs to get people's attention, throw a big rock through a window, whatever, because people will continue to stay in a trance like, this is not happening, this is not happening. I've actually seen somebody being dragged into an alley, a girl to be raped. She's being fondled, molested by these crackheads. But there were all these people out there and they saw it happening. They weren't doing anything. But as soon as I yelled, stop, everybody reacted. Hey, yeah, stop. And everybody got involved. Nobody wants to believe that an atrocious thing is happening. When he says, that Hitler would kill people because he didn't want them to pass on defective genes or whatever, he says, good thing we're not Nazis. This jumped out at me because I thought to myself, nobody wants to believe that they're as bad as a Nazi, even them. And they've literally got Nazi weapons and everything, and they're just killing people randomly, indiscriminately for no good reason. But they're still thinking, at least I'm not a Nazi. Tells you something.
Nobody but me is allowed in it.
That's very realistic. When she shoots the guy, everybody just continues walking. Nobody even notices, but you hear it in the background. Gunshots are not like cannon going off, especially if it's in a room, in another room, behind a room. And especially on prank day, you might expect people to be throwing firecrackers around, or it could just be somebody popped a balloon or whatever. You just don't know.
We don't wait outside You're right. If it's an active shooter, we go in immediately.
Here we see the sheriff is talking to one of the guys who's responding, and he's saying we need to go in right now. And he says, yeah, if it's an active shooter situation, you go right in. The reason why that is said in the film is because in Sandy Hook, they did not go in because the protocol at that time was to contain the situation. So they had to hold until there were enough police there. I believe they had to wait for 3 police officers or something before they could go in. But anyway, there were officers who were there on the scene. They could hear the killing, but they didn't do anything to stop it because the protocol said that they had to wait. So they changed that protocol after Sandy Hook. But if there's an active shooter situation, police are supposed to enter and engage immediately. However, if it's a hostage situation, you're not supposed to engage immediately like that. You are supposed to contain and negotiate. And so this is a really well orchestrated attack because they know the responses of the police and they're manipulating them so that there's confusion. It's really scary to think that high school kids could do this, but yeah, they definitely could. Let's talk about the weapons that are being used in this film. We already have seen a sawed-off double-barrel shotgun. That is illegal. We have seen an automatic weapon, automatic rifle, also illegal. We've seen pistols, which have got to be illegal because you're 21 years of age or older to be able to get one in most states. And let's not forget that they're also about to use a bomb, and they've been using bombs. With the exception of the knife, every single one of their weapons are illegal. If you think banning weapons is going to stop them from using them, you're crazy. Imagine that these kids roll up to this school, they got their automatic weapons and their bombs, they're about to kill everybody, and then they stop, they look up, there's a sign on the door and it says, gun-free zone. Do you think they're gonna go, crap, I guess we're gonna have to go shoot up some other place? No! By classifying places of education, our schools, as gun-free zones, you've effectively put crosshairs on them from jump. I actually had a great example here. Here in North Carolina, there's actually this barbecue place that decided to put out this cutesy little anti-gun sign that said if our legislators aren't allowed to carry guns in the Capitol, you're not allowed to carry them here. Knowing what I know, I actually called them and I asked for the manager and I talked to her on the phone. And I said, hey, I just want to let you know, statistically, if you put a gun-free zone sign up on a place, it will attract the attention of armed people. So I just wanted to give you a warning, because I own a business locally as well. And she said, well, yeah, thank you for your input, but you know, half the country thinks your way, and the other half thinks our way. So thanks for the info, but we're just gonna go ahead and do what we're doing, okay? I said, okay, fine. Not 1 week later, armed dudes kick in the front and back doors of the place and rob everybody, smacking people around with guns because they knew that nobody there would be able to defend themselves. I don't know about you, but I don't think the schools should be designated as gun-free zones when it is proven to attract armed people. I mean, just like we're seeing in the movie here. Playing dead works really well for an ambush. She could have stomped her knee out, she could have stomped her ankle in, she could have kicked a leg out and then dove on top of her, she could have used a weapon of opportunity, but it would be all legs all day. She's actually not taking cover there behind that flimsy little locker door. She's concealing. So there's cover and there's concealment. Cover is something that can stop the bullets. Concealment means they can't tell where you are behind it, and that's exactly what's happening there. Even though she was shooting through the door, she didn't know where she was behind that locker door. And it's a pretty flimsy concealment, a little Hollywood, but that's what was happening. Okay, Zoe has now lured her into an ambush situation. This is brilliant. There's so many distractions. I mean, nothing more distracting than a million balloons, right? That was really good. Now, again, if Zoe were deep in there, that would be concealment. And she's trying to shoot, she doesn't know where she is, but then it turns out it was a flank. Boom, she's got her, okay? She starts fighting. One of the most important things to remember when you are fighting with somebody who's got a gun is that you've got to stay between them and the gun, okay? You do not want the gun between you if you can help it. You redirect, control, attack, and disarm them if you can. That's RCAD. That's what we say in Atlas Krav Maga. So right now she's trying to redirect it to get herself off that muzzle and turns the gun on her. winning. That is actually, it's a sad thing, it's a horrible thing that you have to do, but you do it to survive, and she's throwing up. That is totally realistic. I lived on the street for a year to study the homeless, to spend time with them, try to understand their plight, and I've seen people throw up from bones being broken, people getting hit hard with things, not even, not being shot, not dying, and you got to get through it quick, and she does. We don't get to see her like, cleaning up or whatever, but she gets right back to work searching that body, and that's what you got to do. Keep moving. Adrenaline is one of the best drugs you could ever take, and it's completely healthy, it's completely natural. God gave us adrenaline. The problem is you don't want to use adrenaline too much because you'll black out. You need to be breathing in through the nose, holding it out. When you control your breathing, you can see all kinds of opportunities that you would have missed when you were just panting like a dog and about to pass out. So Dad's listening, he hears what's going on, he figures out his daughter's in danger. This really hit home for me because I have a daughter that I train. My goal is to make her the most dangerous woman in the world. If I were to get a call like that, boy, I'd tool up just like him and I'd head out there and try to do anything I could to help. I understand why there's a paranoid schizophrenic in the group here. I get it. It's the Adam Lanza connection here. Adam Lanza, he was diagnosed as paranoid schizophrenic after the event. But I can tell you this, less than 1% of all violent crimes using weapons can be attributed to people with mental illness. So, okay, she's taking cover here. That shotgun will not go through that corner. She knows that. She's luring him into an ambush. Very smart with the slip and slide, and also a fun mechanism for a film. She's already waiting. Boy, you do not want to get sprayed in the face and the mouth with a fire extinguisher. Ugh. It doesn't look that tasty to him, and then badunk, that will do it right there. That's all, folks. You hit somebody with a fire extinguisher like that, muertos, most of the time. That's out. I mean, you come teeing off on somebody like that, they gone. Zoe takes a hostage. She decides to talk to the guy. It turns out, he's imagining all these things. She tries to get into his head, these people don't hate you. Okay, that, for the story, fine. But in real life, if you're ever in an active shooter situation, do not take a hostage. And absolutely never, ever, unless it's a movie, in real life, never give them a weapon. When she gives him the shotgun, that's like, oh man, never, don't do it, don't do it. Okay, at this point, Zoe is now running around the school with a shotgun, okay? One of the things that we actually go through in our active shooter training here, you gotta call the police immediately, tell them who you are, what you look like, and that you are not one of the shooters. You took down the shooter, tell them exactly where you are in the building, sit in the corner where nobody can sneak up on you, and you set the firearm down between your feet. You can pick it up if you need to, but you don't if you don't have to. Tell the police, stay on the phone. The dispatcher will let the police know, and they'll know not to kill you. That being said, they're gonna throw you on the ground, gonna cuff you. You may be a little roughed up, but at least you're not dead. A lot of this film doesn't really revolve around what the police are doing because the police don't really have a lot to do here. I mean, they normally are trying to get the people who've taken the subjects hostage to let them go. And it's a word game. It's not really a tactical game, but I love how the sheriff is coordinating, and I love how he gets the media to look at him by making this call so that they can't see the kids getting out through the feed. That was a smart tactical move. All right, we're in the science room. I'm starting to learn a little bit about the world that Chris Jellick lives in. We're just seeing that paranoid schizophrenia just running amok here. She does a great job of using a diversion. That is a brilliant diversion to run for the door. In this case, it also served a great cinematic purpose of being able to let Dad know where she was so he could post up. She has doused him with chemicals. She's running for it. She could have gotten away. But here's the truth. If she's untrained and the guy's bigger, boy, he's just gonna lay into her. Oh man. And over the rail, there she goes. Man, she's gonna need a dad to save her. Okay, so here we have a guy who has inserted himself, Dad. He has fired a round at the school, okay? Dad should fully expect to be shot dead for doing that. Thankfully, that is not the way that it works out in this story. Thank you, Daily Wire, for that, because we all want Dad to make it. I like the attention to detail here that you see half of the police officers there on the left are very overweight. Law enforcement, get on that. Make sure that you stay fit and ferocious, guys. Come on. And then as we kind of round things out here, we see that, you know, Dad's in the back of the squad car. Dad lucked out here. That's great. Of course, now we have the end of the film that I'm not going to get into, where basically Zoe goes off in the woods to hunt somebody, and I have no tactical input on that. I wouldn't do it. So in closing, I hope that this has been really helpful for you guys. I hope that it's given you some insight into what was real and what was, you know, maybe a little Hollywood. In order to make a good film that involves true to life events like active shooter scenarios, you have to have the balance of tactically realistic with what's cinematically appealing. And this film really blends the two things together very well. Daily Wire, you rock. This is just an incredible first outing. Man, really incredible. And if you guys see bad reviews from the critics, look at the audience scores. The audience scores are always right. I give it 2 big thumbs up. Thanks, Daily Wire. Thank you guys for watching. God bless America. God bless you.